Are Mythic Plus Dungeons a viable, time-efficient gearing option for a solo casual player in patch 8.3 if you don't have a group of friends that are able to carry you? This is what we'll be discussing in this video, and in addition, some more information about Torghast and Shadowlands Alpha. Stick around. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, Gyro here. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my perspective as a casual solo, mostly solo player on the state of Mythic Plus Dungeons. Are they a realistically viable gearing option for us as solo players who do not have, and I'm assuming that you are in my situation, you're not antisocial completely, but you do not have a guild or a group of friends who are highly geared and they can just carry you through? In my opinion, Mythic Plus dungeons are a viable option to get your first 430, 440 gear if you were able to, if you just freshly dinged as an alt, did a first initial sweep of what world quest rewards are available, had a few pieces of BOA bind to account gear available from your main, perhaps to hand me down type of thing. So when you were able to lift your eye level to something remotely sensible, say 420, 415, 420, then you could try your luck and you could try and either create a group of your own, or just you have to be lucky, you will have to try and sit in that queue and try and apply for groups that are being advertised. But I recommend that you create one of your own, and in those circumstances you might get that first 430, 435 gear that you need to start qualifying for some better content or start being taken a tiny bit more seriously, especially as DPS when you're queuing for higher keys, for higher Mythic Plus keys. Now, Mythic Plus dungeons as an alternative to getting decent gear, as an alternative to horrific visions. I do think that those, so considering what you can get from world quests, from PvP Brawl weekly, from the 460 that you get once in a while from a heroic Darkshore Battlefront, so those kind of options that come to mind that you don't need particular setup for. It's just a matter of participating in this content, logging in and checking if world quests start offering you better content. You pick up a few really decent pieces of gear as you start obtaining your legendary cloak, as you go through Rathion's quest. So you can get yourself into the range of 430, 435, 440 relatively quickly these days. So what I'm trying to say to you is that I don't think that you need any of this stress and any of that, I would dare say, relative humiliation that we have to endure as lowly geared DPS when we try to apply for those groups that seek an easy run. They always seek people who overgear content. I don't blame them. I absolutely don't blame them, but it is a fact. I'm just sharing my opinion on the facts. So you sit there in a group, in a queue, try to apply for one group, declined, try to apply for another one, declined. If you create one yourself, it's a nightmare of its own to coordinate and to create. It takes time, takes a long time. And no one will take you seriously within your item level range unless, once again, you have friends and guilds, and we're not looking at those here. So best you can do is maybe, and when it starts making sense, you need to get into Mythic plus 4. If you get into Mythic plus 4 because you're lucky or because you've done your part, you are a solid 440, 445, and you pump out decent DPS, or you're a healer. Tanks, well, tanks also are expected to be overgearing, but tanks are in short supply. That's why tanks also probably will get a little bit more of an upper hand in this. If you are solidly geared, decent 440, 445 tank, you should be able to get into that level of mythics. They are always looking for tanks. So Mythic plus 4 will give you maybe the actual loot that you get from there isn't going to be worth your while, So I think it maybe drops 440 or 445, I don't know, itself from the chest. But your end of the week chest, you know, the after reset, when you get your champions, I think something something it's called, it's in Borealis, yeah, the mythic chest, yeah, the weekly reward that you get, you will get a 450. 450 currently in 8.3 at the moment of recording of this video. 450 item level is something that generally is out of reach for casuals. LFR is not going to give you 450. Queuing for normal raid runs, Neolotha raid runs, of course it's possible as well, but I think it's also quite a bit of an undertaking, and getting in those raids is possibly even harder than getting into a random Mythic Plus group. I don't know, I'm not particularly considering that option. I'm thinking about what's really readily available to you as a solo player who doesn't want too much trouble, much interaction. Wants to do world quests, quick PvP, heroic duck show. You don't need to theoretically even talk to anyone there, or horrific visions for that matter. You know, I am social, but you may not be, and that's fine. So from that perspective, there is no other source in the game that you can just continue running continuously, as opposed to once a week or something, or on an odd occasion, where that will give you solid source of 450s, item level 450. So Mythic M plus 4, M plus 5 are going to give you at the very least once a week in that chest, in the champions reward thing, it will give you 450. So that's where you will start scratching the surface of maybe pushing your item level out of that soloable zone. That's where I'd say it's still worth it. However, then, in my opinion, from my experience, right, from that Mythic plus 4 to Mythic plus 7, Mythic plus 9 that I'm doing here, the difficulty increases exponentially. Especially if you are in a week when there is something like teaming. The modifier, you know, the whatever those things are called, is teaming in this case. So teaming means that extra trash mobs are present throughout the dungeon, in addition to two other bad things that are happening to you. Underrot is known as an example. I'm just giving you a practical example. Underrot is known as having very, very bad trash. Bosses here are relatively easy compared to trash. So when it's teaming, it's absolutely not worth it, in my opinion, because I spent a long freaking time here, a long time here. Yeah, by the time this time runs out, obviously. And in the end, at the end of this run, guys, because we will not fit probably into the time of the whole video to talk about this, at the end of this run, I got a 455, and in my weekly chest, I got a 460 again. So all I'm trying to say to you is, in my opinion, as a casual player who can rely only on himself, doesn't have any particular friends to carry him through, right? The difficulty of this and the effort it requires to coordinate and the effort it requires to complete, because it's an old dungeon, I wouldn't say it's fun. So fun factor is completely out here. We're not even talking about this, right? And as far as how many times you die and what kind of reward you get in the end, it's absolutely throwaway garbage, in my opinion. So how they scaled effort versus reward from that level of when it starts making sense and you can still get in and still make it as a casual, from the entry level of Mythic plus 4 to something like this that should be significantly better, significantly more rewarding for you, I would imagine, right? Especially when there are other ways to gear, when there are other ways to do this, like horrific visions, yeah. I think, my opinion, not worth it. And that's where I'm going to conclude this tirade. And I welcome your opinions in the comments down below. What's your experience like? Please try to level with me. If you have a guild, if you are overgearing content, if you've been doing it for ages, you have some other social contacts, it's probably a little bit of a different case. I want to hear from you anyway, but I don't think that that applies and transparently translates to what I'm trying to say here to you. Now, let's talk about more Torghast. Torghast, the Tower of the Damned, Shadowlands Alpha main feature that is finally in testing. We have already had videos and already I've been talking about the data mined things, and then we read even the blog from Blizzard very recently, what Blizzard said about Torghast, and now we have some lucky people who are more influential people, more prominent people in obviously Blizzard universe and in World of Warcraft sphere. I follow quite a few. I don't watch every single video, but some of them I do watch and find quite informative. And I'm very much a people person, so I need to connect with the person who I'm watching. That's why I'm watching Bellular Gaming, for example. Yeah, Michael. I quite like him, and I am using a bit of his video here, so all credit for the video included here goes to him. Please go to his channel. I'm not including it in its entirety. I'm only using it here for the reference, and I'm only using it with all the gratitude and fan service that's available to me. I'm a big fan. I'm only going to say going to comment, so it's a commentary on his video, similar to what people do for other content creators, I suppose. So I'm hopefully traveling somewhere there within the allowed zone of borrowing content. Um, what he's saying is that, first of all, he's very impressed, and I trust Michael because I did agree with him on Horrific Visions, and then I thoroughly tested Horrific Visions, as you know me, guys, and I am a big fan of current implementation. But there are wrong things with Horrific Visions. One of the worst things about Horrific Visions is that they have limited access. That there are other issues, of course, but I'm not being nitpicky here. I'm just saying that Horrific Visions have very limited access. And it is still not crystal clear if the Tower of the Damned, if Torghast is going to be available in an unlimited way. I think Michael is only pitching to Blizzard, who definitely watch his channel, right? The guy has 500,000 subscribers. Come on, and he deserves it. He works really hard at it. So I think that Michael himself is not confident at this stage if access to Torghast is going to be unhindered, if we can actually use that part of the game, that mini game as he refers to it, in an unlimited way. I certainly hope that we will be able to, because one thing that I violently but politely, if it's possible, disagreed with Blizzard on in the earlier implementations of the game and the early expansions in regards to some other features that they rolled out over the years, is that they always tend to think that they know better. They always tend to think that they know better than you and better than me what's good for you and what's good for me. This way, they are limiting my possible consumption of certain content, say Horrific Visions. They are doing it because they think that that prevents my burnout. And they also think that makes me consider other content that's there to do in the game, right? Instead of focusing on the fact that how about we give this dude whatever he wants from the toolbox, from the toy box, not toolbox, toy box probably, that's available here. How about we let him queue up for the same roller coaster, in this theme park that he really loves. I don't need to, as a creator of the game, why are they not thinking this way? I don't need to force Gyro to go onto this and this and this simply because he loves World of Warcraft. He wants to be there. It's half a habit, half a fan service, half a I don't know what it is anymore, addiction, right? But they always kind of tried to limit us in order to force a rotation of activity. You know what I'm saying? In this particular case, Michael is so excited about Torghast, and I am excited from what I heard from him and from what I already read about it, and a lot of things resonate. Anima powers, how OP they make you feel, how much fun it is to clear those levels, how much fun it is to experiment with different builds. I can't wait to try it myself. But basically, once again, if I had to bet my money, I'd say that Blizzard once again will limit access because they think that they know better, and they think that if everyone goes and does only Torghast, it will never happen. But they think that if everyone goes and does Torghast, then nobody is gonna running this bullshit. Excuse me, excuse the language. Mythic Plus. You know what I'm saying? So everyone will funnel, and other lakes will drain. Other lakes will just deplete of people. So instead, they limit this goodness and make us consider crap. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm being a little bit pointy here, and I'm maybe working myself up unnecessarily, but I have years and years of experience playing Blizzard games and World of Warcraft specifically, so this expectation is somewhat justified. I would be happy to be wrong. Share in the comments down below what do you guys think. I want to be wrong But I am very, very conscious. And if Michael says, "Oh, Blizzard, please don't limit this access," blah blah blah. If even he, with his contacts, with his connections, doesn't think that's the plan currently, yeah, and I know he can't reveal it, but if he was confident that that's the plan, he wouldn't be asking for it. Then that doesn't fill me with crazy amount of confidence. Okay, especially now hearing that the feature itself, the gameplay itself, is fantastic. Especially hearing how good it actually is, because it sounds great. And once again, just not to reuse his video fully and not just comment on his notes, say the same thing he said. Please watch the video if you haven't already, his video, and share your comments with me. Like, share your opinions. What do you think about Torghast now that you have early footage even available to you? It's just not my footage, which is why I'm not using it fully. All right, guys. So these are my thoughts of this in this little evening. This, as always, unscripted episode. These are my thoughts about Mythic State of Mythic Plus. Higher keys for you as a casual, not worth it. Horrific visions are the stuff you should be doing right now as a casual, in my opinion. Tora Grus that are going to be killing us in Torghast once we die a certain amount of time are crazy exciting for me, and I can't wait to be able to test it myself. Hopefully I will in the months to come. I really hope so. Share your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already. I really love communicating with you guys and making content for you, and more videos are coming to you every couple of days, as always. More horrific visions, possibly more alt leveling, because in the background I'm actually leveling an enhancement shaman and enjoying it, and similar content. Thanks very much for tuning in. I'll talk to you next time.